Welcome to the Lonely Road podcast, where we are here on your journey to make you a better person, heal, and try and give you some sort of insight on how to fix this crazy thing that all of us call life. Many of you guys may know me and KJ from our other jobs, our other my other podcast. This is a different place, though. This isn't what we kind of do on a normal day to day basis. This is in depth. This is going to kind of make you not only explore yourself, but life and the people around you. And it will absolutely, hopefully, change the world to be a better place. As always, use code RMTS at G Fuel for 20% off. 50% of all proceeds of any sponsor we ever get will be brought to some sort of charity in order to help some person or some people in need for bettering the world and stuff like that. KJ, how have you been?
Doing okay. Doing okay. Busy week. Busy. It's just getting busier as the holiday season comes. It's wonderful.
Always does.
'Tis the season.
Always does.
Mm-hmm. How was your week?
It's only been 4 days since we recorded, but goddamn, I feel like I've had zero free time at all. It's one of those weeks where it's just like, okay, now I'm trying to pre-record everything. We're recording twice this week. I'm like, okay, do I have enough time to try and squeeze in two of the other podcast? If I squeeze in 2 episodes this week for this show, my show, and my job, I will record 6 podcasts this week. And more than likely, I will be back to full-time streaming this week as well.
Oh wow.
So I'm trying to figure it all out, trying to get it all put together. I don't know, like, and this kind of leads into what we wanted to talk about, but I kind of want to get it out. I've been tempted to talk to my mom about it, but I haven't even talked to her about it yet. I talked to Brie about it a little bit, but it seems like with everything that's gone on, I'm questioning kind of letting all of my traumas go.
Okay.
Like even current stuff, even past stuff, just like call it zero, fuck it, and like show these kids that it's okay to just let go of what's happened and kind of show them how to heal from it.
Yeah.
Because I know that the only way that they are going to heal is if they have a basis of how to.
That was my mom's big thing, Zach, is her big just the big thing she used to say all the time was let it go. Just let it go, Louie.
Mhm.
Just let it go. And it's okay to let it go. But if you have hard feelings about something, you got to find out why you have those hard feelings and get through it so that you can let it go. And yes, it's okay to let it go. So that's a perfect thing to show
Yeah.
your kids.
And like even looking at my own traumas, looking at shit with my dad, everything kind of as a whole, I am starting to get to that point now where I feel like I am healing and I'm finally moving and I'm finally changing the way I perceive the world and everything else. But I'm not healed enough to the point where I can show them, okay, this is the step by step guide how to do this because I'm not fully done yet. And I know I'm not fully done yet. I
Mhm.
understand that. But I feel like this is the next step that I have to make is show them how to forgive and move past it.
Yeah.
Is like it doesn't matter if it hurts you, it doesn't matter if it I'm not forgiving for them. I'm forgiving for myself. Do I want any of those people in my life? Absolutely the fuck not. But as a whole, not having to deal with anxiety anytime I go somewhere or in certain locations or all of that shit. They don't need to see that and hold on to that and realize that like
No,
it can be different.
no, they really don't. And you're you're their North Star, you're
Mhm.
their shining light, you're their compass. You're the one that has to show them that. And if you don't, who's going to? They're going to end up piecing it together like you had to.
Yeah. And I don't want that. And
Yeah.
that's why I'm kind of thinking and trying to be introspective of like, what did I need? I needed somebody either to react or show me how to just drop it and let it be and kind of move past it. And both of those things were damn near impossible.
Hmm.
So
Yep. Yep.
it's been weird. So we had this topic on our list for a little bit now, and I thought it was going to be one of the lighthearted ones, and then we now changed it into a more heavy topic, which is always seemingly what we end up doing. But this started out as ADHD can be a superpower, but we kind of swapped it and changed it around to mental health and trauma can be a superpower, and it's weird how much it genuinely can be.
Yeah. Yeah. It really can. I mean, you take what you what you've been through, like myself, like with my, I'm a feeler. So like I have always been run by my feelings, and until I was able to harness my feelings and be able to manage my feelings and how I
Mhm,
act and react, that is the superpower in itself, is just being able to step back and be in control of my actions and reactions and not being led by those feelings.
mhm.
To me, that's a huge superpower, is to just control myself and not let
Yeah.
people rattle me so much, you know?
And honestly, I think that's something that a lot of people genuinely deal with on a day-to-day basis, every single day of their life. There's some people that absolutely cannot control that level within themselves, and it gets hard. Like even with myself, that impulse to be able to control what I'm going to say or what I'm going to feel is an every single word that comes out of my mouth situation.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. I've been very in tune lately to what how I come across.
Mhm.
It's important to me to land correctly with whoever I'm speaking with.
Yeah.
Because if I mean, I'm sure I know I still go off at the hip. In my home, that's my
Mhm.
safe place. I do. That's my wife knows
You
me like
unmask.
nobody else knows me, huh?
You unmask.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's my safe place. It's not like I'm not me, but I present my best me. She sees the worst of me at home, you know,
Yeah.
or the raw me. Probably it's not really the worst. I'm not a horrible person, but that being said, it's tough. It's tough.
No, and I tell Bree the same thing. I was like, when you see me with this camera off, not because I'm fake to the camera, but you see the breakdowns after I have a podcast and I'm like, oh fuck, I spoke too much or I felt too much or I said more than I expected to, or like she'll see the excited version of me, like so fucking excited to put something out because I know it's gonna affect something.
Yeah.
But then she also sees like the vulnerability that I give to every single person is I will, because of how I overthink everything and I'm able to explore every single fucking train of thought, she will get hurt by it because she just like my mind doesn't work like that. I can't see the good in everybody because I can't see that it's there always. And it's just like it's so interesting seeing two different, very, very, very different versions of people.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. But that it's a part of you that has honed enough to be able to become positive for you. You're
Yeah.
able to make it a positive thing in your life now, you know?
Yeah. And I like even using this show as an example, there's not a lot of people that could have just led with the things that I led us out of with everything happening with Joshua or all of the pain and the problems, my divorce and everything all at once. I still kept going.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like we were talking to my son the other day because he's like, "Well, I don't know exactly what's going on." I was like, "Well, I didn't let everybody struggle. Like it's okay. I will make sure that everything's okay and I'll keep leading us out." I was like, I was back to work the next day. Nothing changed because I knew what I needed to do. Because if I dropped and I let everything crash, then nobody's there holding everybody up.
Yep. Yep.
It's hard.
It is. It's hard. Life's hard, you know? You have a
Mhm.
family and you're responsible for their well-being, you know? It's interesting. But you can take the things that have happened to you, like the things that, like for me, my big feelings, for you, your ADHD, and break it down to be something that can fuel you through those times, those hard
Yeah.
times, because you know how to deal with those things coming in.
Yeah, and it's so weird to kind of look at the positives of what ADHD can be because that's what I wrote notes for. And Cage's like we're changing them a little bit. You look at these positives, hyper focus. It's exactly that.
Mhm.
finding
Yeah,
a schedule and knowing how to fix it,
that's definitely a
being a
positive.
know-it-all and changing everything. You know what I'm saying? Like it's so tactical. And everybody's like, it's such a psychological thing. Yeah, it's a psychological thing because it affects you psychologically. But those psychological symptoms and psychological problems affect every single part of your day.
Mhm.
It's not like depression where the only battle you have is getting out of bed.
Yeah,
It's not, it's weird. It's weird because it's like this thing can be such a burden if you let it be a burden. Or if you're able to control it and harness it, it can be one of the strongest things that you could ever kind of focus around.
yeah, yeah, for real. Like, I find with my own self that I'm able to, like, now that I've harnessed the energy and within me, I can walk into a room and I can read the room. Like
Mhm.
people say, you read the room. I can really actually read people's
Oh,
moods. I can size it up and down. I can
you know that's a trauma response, right?
it's it's
It's a
interesting.
weird trauma response, but it's not a I remember, like, hearing my mom talking about it or hearing her friend Jess talk about it, and they're like, "Oh, well, I can feel." It's like, "No, that's a trauma response." It's a trauma response because you didn't know exactly how everybody was feeling when you came home or when you were in this situation, and it bit you once. Once it's bit you once, you read everything, and you'll learn how to read everybody. It's weird looking back at it when I was like, "Okay, well, I'm uncomfortable in this situation," and not uncomfortable, like, at a base level. Like, and I think that's the hardest part to kind of explain is, like, I don't feel just uncomfortable in a situation with somebody who is shitty or I don't think is a good person. I cannot read them. Like, I don't know how they're feeling because they hide it. And everybody else you can see because most people don't hide it. Most people don't ever hide anything. It's all on their face, it's all on their chest. It's okay.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Like I find that it allows me to set boundaries or open myself up accordingly.
Mhm.
Which is good for me because I'm really raw. Like I'm seriously like to put it in open terms, it's like open nerve endings. Like all my
Yeah.
nerve endings are open. I am a completely raw person. When I don't have medication to numb it down, I have to be able
Mhm.
to read the room. I have to be able
Yeah.
to tailor my responses and my actions and my reactions to save my own feelings because I'll hurt my own feelings by thinking somebody thinks more of me than they actually do. I'll hurt my feelings hardcore. So I got to be careful. So I've
Oh, I
learned to
I
do that.
struggled with that so much. So a thing with ADHD is it's very, very easy for you to tell what's on your mind, your feelings, whatever, because it's an easy way to gut check people almost. And that's a weird way to kind of word it, but like if I haven't talked to you in 6 months and you're coming back randomly and I didn't go to you, I'm gonna give you something and I want to see exactly how you react to it. If you react positively, I'm okay to speak. If you don't react positively or how I expect you to react, we have a big problem.
Yeah. I mean, they got to be able to take accountability for dipping out of your life. You know what I mean?
Like
Although there's some relationships where I find that you can just it's an ebb and flow. Life is life, and sometimes you can just come
and
into somebody's life. But
after
when you're
after you
really
saw
really close with somebody and it breaks,
when you see us reconnect a few months ago and
mm,
we started talking all the time, you see me gut check you a little bit and then all of a sudden everything's okay, everything's back to normal, it's zero again. And it wasn't like a big huge step, it was just, oh, this is what's going on, this is what I'm struggling with, I'm feeling right now, and I need your help. And it was literally first instinct to help and everything's back to zero. It's like you're back to being that person that I knew when I was 13, 14 years old where I relied everything on almost. You were one of those people where I that was there always. And regardless of what happened and why we fell apart, it was like nothing changed.
yeah,
And that's what's insane about the uneasy feeling or just gut checking somebody and being able to understand exactly how they're going to respond.
Well, are they
is
there? Are they there? Are they back for the long haul? And even if they do go away for a little bit longer, are they coming back? You know, you gotta
yeah.
take that inventory. For me, that's my grief speaking. I take
Mhm.
inventory constantly. I'm
Oh, I do
constantly,
too.
yeah, I'm constantly taking inventory. It's it's interesting how your not only your traumas, but the things that you're diagnosed with or you have, you know, can be turned around to be such forces for the positive in
Mhm.
your life if you allow them to be.
And I think the big part of it is just it's not being a victim. It doesn't matter what those letters on the paper say.
Yeah,
There are certain things that are beneficial about all of them. Whether
exactly.
whether you're talking about schizophrenia, whether you're talking about bipolar disorder or borderline personality disorder or depression, or all of them have
Yeah,
positive impacts on how you see the world.
right.
It it's not something that you should hold yourself down by.
No,
It is innately you.
but
It is a
it's
part of you.
stigmatized. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely stigmatized, and people will soak that in. I know I did,
Mhm.
but you have to be able to get through that. You know, you have to be able to be your own champion to say,
Yeah.
okay, maybe I'm a little different in this way or that way. How I take in information, how can that make me stronger?
Yeah. And I think the big thing that I personally have dealt with in that situation is my OCD. And everybody's like, "Oh, OCD. You mean cleaning your house and making sure everything's perfect and everything else?" Absolutely
No,
the fuck I do not.
no,
My
no.
OCD is completely understanding exactly how my ADHD mind works, and when I get an idea, like this show, it becomes the biggest thing in my fucking mind until I accomplish it, and it has to be done exactly the way I perceive it, or then I tear myself apart because I failed in some way. My OCD is not a temper tantrum torn child that didn't walk down the stairs the proper way or didn't close the door 5 times or touch the light switch 3. Those are all impulse things. Those things you can change and affect. But the brain chemistry on how big or important something is to you is such a unique thing that most people genuinely don't even understand as a part of OCD.
Yeah, yeah. And I got to give it to you. You're doing a really good job. Being that you're doing the podcast with someone else that has a mind of her own
Yeah.
and wants to be able to, you know, have meaningful conversation with it, you're able to roll with those changes, just like I was last week when you changed the whole
Mhm.
topic halfway, well, quarter of the way through. You know what I mean? And we just kind of
Yeah,
went
just
church and went on a different. That's fine. You know, and that's the way that
mhm.
things mesh in. It's going to be perfectly perfect the way it is.
Yeah, exactly. And you even see that having interpersonal conversations with me when we would spend time together, when we were sitting at the bar, just drinking a soda and bullshitting. That's how conversations with me go. It's like, okay, no, this is more important right now. This thing can actually impact somebody. This thing can actually do something. Something about this just feels like it's the right answer, and we're gonna go there because fuck it.
Yeah, it's interesting how, and I was just talking to somebody actually online about this, how being able to be vulnerable and put yourself out there, how that affects our own healing
Mhm.
is complete has been completely amazing to me. Like this is like our what, our sixth episode, and I
Yes.
feel like I've come full circle in more than one area in my own healing. It's
Mhm.
amazing. So reaching out to what as many people as we have already, it's just amazing to me, that it really does cycle back, making yourself vulnerable. Uh, it's it's becoming, you know, it's hard, it's raw, but it's becoming rewarding for my own healing,
Yeah, and it's weird,
integral
isn't it?
in my own healing. It's amazing. It really is. It's weird. It's really
Because
is.
because you go from like looking at a camera and being like, okay, there's nobody on the other side, or we're just having an intimate conversation, to knowing that this show has almost 10,000 views in its first month and a half. And that's exactly what I told you was going to happen. Like, this is either going to do something or it's going to help us. And either way, it's beneficial.
It's pretty astounding. So I thank you to all the viewers, all the listeners. Thank
Yeah.
you very much. We appreciate it.
It's so surreal. It really is. Like, Real Men Talk Shit started, and I just, there was a part of this as that, because it's storytelling. It's sitting down at a table and hanging out
Yeah,
and kind of bullshitting. But the level of in-depthness to this is just different. It's like going to therapy without going to fucking therapy.
exactly. And that's the way I think about it. I've had my bouts with traditional therapy. I've gone that route. I found a couple really good therapists. I found a couple really, really bad therapists as well. And it's really turned me off to the profession a lot. So, it's interesting how we reconnected and had the same need, and in our need and our healing and helping, we're actually reconnecting, and the trifecta, it's just all coming together, and it's kind of amazing. I wasn't, me, I'm hesitant about everything.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, I've never seen you jump so quickly to a yes in something that I've ever asked you, I think.
it was
Other
a
than
no-brainer.
being Maddie's godmother. I think that was the only thing that you jumped at and was like, yes.
Yeah.
That was the only thing other than this that you jumped at first second. And I was thoroughly surprised. I was like, this is a shot in the dark, but you know what? Fuck it.
Yeah. Hey, you got you got to take those shots in the dark sometimes, right? That's where I allowed my intuition to come in. I have been able to trust that inner voice. You know,
Mhm.
the my intuition has allowed me to feel things differently than normal humans, that I'm around normally my entire life. And I didn't know what it was when I was younger, and I've just honed it recently, but I've known it's been there, but I haven't known what it's meant or what to do with it even.
Yeah.
But in my healing and in dealing with my own stuff, it's interesting that I'm able to trust that inner voice, and looping it back into the decision with the podcast. It was just a, what does my inner voice say about it? Because when I've gone against it's different than running with your feelings. Listening to your inner voice to me is different. It's more solid. It
Yeah.
comes from the core. It's not from the vibrations.
And I don't know, like, I deal with that too. And like, I was telling Bree the same thing. I think me and you even had a conversation about it, and it even ties back to last week, the episode we did then. There, it feels like there's a path in life, and not like a path as in like you have to make these decisions or this decision will grant you this decision or whatever. It feels like when you go against what you're supposed to do, and that's not the moral answer, that's not the religious answer, what you as a person is supposed to do in this life, you will always kind of rebound back to where you were supposed to be anyway. You made the wrong decision, stupid, go again. It's weird, because I'm dealing with that too.
Mhm.
It's like, wrong decision, stupid, turn back again,
No, yeah, here's the
try it
situation
again.
again. You didn't get it the
Yeah,
first time, so we're gonna loop back around, and we're gonna show that to you as many times as we fucking need to until you get the point. Okay, so get the point.
exactly. And it's with having ADHD and the pattern recognition I do, and you applaud me for my pattern recognition always. You're like, dude, you see this. You see everything that so many people are fucking up right now. You see it. We don't even have to talk about it. It's fine. It is so hard to see the same exact things again. It's like, nope, you weren't strong enough. Try again. And it's like, fuck. Yeah, I'm not trying to skate past on zero, but like, can we understand that I don't want to put my foot on your throat? Can we? No? Okay, I guess I'm gonna have to then.
I mean, that's
It's
where
hard.
boundaries are really important. You just do it. need to do what you need to do in life. Make sure you set your boundaries. That's important. I never really understood what that meant.
I didn't
But
either.
what's really hard is setting boundaries with people that have already existed in your life and that have been over those boundaries. You know, it's hard to then set up that fence, that wall that you're not going to allow past anymore for
Well,
whatever
I'm gonna
reason.
say this. I'm gonna say this in the religious way because it's the only way that I've heard it. But maybe somebody in the comments or something can reword it. KJ can reword it, something like that. But a boundary isn't for me to tell you to get out of my life.
Mm,
A boundary is for me to tell you at this point, I will make sure God sees you out of my life because you don't want to be here anymore. It's not about what I want. It's about what I deserve, and I deserve better than what you're giving me. And I know for goddamn sure that God will take you out of my life, no matter what the fuck that means.
yeah, in a lot of cases, that's where it ends up. You know what I mean? Like it's interesting when you start to set boundaries. Speaking of boundaries, setting boundaries with people is interesting because there's there's really one of two responses that comes from that. You know,
Mhm.
it's either, oh, okay, let me understand this, let me move forward in a different way, or you're bucking
You're
the
an asshole.
system. Exactly. You're not at all going to have any of that, and you're not going to respect them, and it's just going to be pandemonium.
Yeah.
And then you know accordingly what you need to do. That's where you need to tailor your actions and reactions and do what you
And
need
it's
to do in
just,
your life.
it's so surreal finally understanding and being able to see in real time exactly what that is.
Mhm, mhm.
And I don't want to sound like I overinflate myself at all because that's not me. But it's been a different Zach for the past 2 years.
Yeah, I understand that feeling.
And I think it genuinely has added so much to so many people around me, not just myself,
Oh, yeah.
whether that's my kids or my family or everything else. Like if you look at the people that are around me, it feels like they are richer emotionally and mentally in a way that I wasn't giving before.
Oh, I feel
Do I
it.
try and drag people out of shit? Absolutely. But I am doing that in a way that it's not just I'm picking up the phone.
Yeah.
It's like everybody's realizing exactly what it is, and it's so surreal.
No, I don't think that's self-inflation at all because I really feel the same happen in my life. As I take control of my own shit and heal, it's radiating to the people around me. My wife is coming out of a depression that she's been in for a while now,
Mhm,
and maybe that's because I took the reins and started healing within myself. I'm taking
mhm.
time that I need to heal within myself. Maybe she's taken that time to heal things that she needs to heal within herself. We're having conversations we haven't had in a year or two.
Yeah,
It's interesting how when you throw, whether positive or negative, Zach, whether you when you throw that pebble in the water, those ripples are
mhm,
real
yep.
to everybody around you. So yeah, you're the main character in your life. Well, fuck yeah, you are main character in my own life. But you don't have main character syndrome. That's a completely different thing,
No,
But yeah, you want to affect the people around you positively with that
it's
positive shit.
just like, and I've dealt with this a lot. Like, I didn't want to impact other people's lives based off of the trauma that I've had, whether it was somebody who abused me or something like that. I didn't speak out about it because I didn't want it to impact people that I deeply cared about.
That's
I
why I
lost
didn't.
that.
Yeah,
I lost those relationships.
yeah. Well, that's why I didn't talk about mine. I never talked about my abuse. I've never talked about it.
That's
And
like, and I was told the other day, we were told that you just didn't care anymore and that you didn't want to be around, so you weren't. And I was like, fuck, man. Fuck. Fuck you. It's so hard. Being so uneasy in certain situations like that, it's so hard because you don't know whether to protect the person, protect yourself, or try and do both at the same time and fail because that's what you do. I don't know.
Yeah, it goes back to just only being able to control your actions and your reactions. And
Yeah.
you have to trust that the people around you are healthy enough to do the same. I wasn't. I wasn't healthy enough to do anything outside of my own self. I wasn't taught any of that.
No. And it's such a weird path to kind of go about and try and heal and try and fix
Yeah.
because I wasn't taught the same things.
So at 50 years old, you know, you're learning how to harness your emotions and how to give positively into the world and how karma actually fucking works. Because if you're going to put something out into the world, you better be ready to get that back 3 times. And I mean 3 times. Because I've counted the times that I got screwed over, I screwed somebody over, and that cycle didn't break for me until I got screwed over 3 more times.
Mhm.
So if you don't think it's real, and then that's been a multiple lesson for me to learn. I've had to learn that over and over. I've got smacked by karma more than my share of times. But if you don't think what you put out into the world is going to come back to you in that same fever, with the same fervor you put out, whether positive or negative, it is. And it does.
And it's so weird. It's so weird the way that those traumas kind of like affect you and dictate the way that you see the world almost.
Oh,
It
yeah.
changes you as a person to where you're able to see things some people just don't.
That's your perspective. That's you. That's every human. And that's the, when you really, really get into it and you start diving deep into the human psyche, every human, there's none of us, we're just like snowflake. None of us are alike. There's not one human that takes in life like the next.
Mhm,
You know, your ADHD is you've been able to hone it, you've been able to harness it, and you've been able to output so much in the positive because of learning how to harness and hone that.
mhm.
Just like my emotions, I've been able to harness and hone my emotions, and now I really can connect authentically without looking for validation from others and give my energy where people really deserve my energy
Yeah.
and take back my energy from the energy suckers because we all know that they're out there.
Oh, and it's fucking weird when they're around.
Mm. Yeah, because you can
Everything,
feel it.
yeah. And I didn't see the difference. And I didn't see the difference after after they left either. It didn't change until I stopped taking the Zoloft that my therapist put me on. Even though she told me I was bipolar because I did it. I told her that life was worth living. And being depressed and everything gray and everything feels shitty regardless of the day. That to me doesn't sound like a very positive, impactful life. I'd rather feel and feel shitty some days than not feel anything ever.
You know, that was ultimately my decision in, going off my medications, is that I didn't have anything that I couldn't learn how to handle.
Mhm.
So I didn't want to be numbed anymore in life. The numbness made me shoot my mouth off and made me act like someone I authentically am not. I don't want to do that anymore.
When
I'd
I
rather have
got
tears
put
come
on
down
that,
my eyes every now and again because
yeah,
I overflow through my eyes. That's how I'm emotional. It is who I am.
how, how that shit started was so hard. Like I came to them and I was like, "Hey, I have severe ADHD that's never been treated. I'm probably autistic in some level, and I have severe suicidal ideation where it's the only answer always.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've sat on this trigger for 20 plus years. I don't want to keep sitting on it. I don't. But I don't want to have to live off of a pill for the rest of my life. So if
Right.
you're going to prescribe me something, understand I'm not going to take it if I don't feel like it. I'm not going to take it if it's not going to actually dictate and change something.
Right. Right. Can't numb me out forever. And that's what I feel like I didn't realize that a doctor wouldn't step in and say, hey, it's been 20 years you've been on this medication, or it's been 10 years you've been on this medication. Why don't we try something different? What have you done? Have you gotten counseling? Have you gone through things? What are you doing?
Mhm.
Nobody ever did that. I mean, the medical profession, well, that's a whole nother story, but I'm not going to get on a bandwagon about that. But I feel like it's just gone downhill.
I love how my therapist lets me be inquisitive.
Yeah.
My psychologist, she's a rock star, honestly.
Well, good. I'm
Eh,
really glad you found someone good.
She's like, okay, so you can't get your Adderall. How she figured out exactly how to prescribe it so that way it was given to me in an appropriate dose and I didn't have any shortage problems. And on top of that, she understands that I don't take it for a week plus a month. She's like, okay, I'm going to give you a full month. So that way, if you have a bad month, you're more than taken care of every single day if I'm not able to see you. You don't have to worry. And it's just like, dude, that's fantastic. It just makes everything so much easier.
Yeah, it's nice. Definitely. Definitely.
It's weird looking at some of these things that some people are like, oh, this is a superpower I don't get. It's weird thinking back to all the memories of like hyper focus where me and my mom would stay up until 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning researching something or playing Yoville, which was like an online strategy game where you have to sell things and buy things from people. I remember us sitting there learning about Chernobyl for 8.5 hours and we didn't move to pee or get a drink. We just sat there reading. And we just didn't move, didn't do anything just because I played Call of Duty and I was like, "Oh, this is a cool story. Maybe I'll find out something cool." And we didn't move for like hours. It's it's weird just looking back at how these things just have affected me.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting ride to take a plane ride at 30,000 feet and just kind of take an overview of my life and how, like, my feelings, like everything has just been driven by my feelings throughout my life, and how that's affected my attitude and where I am in life right now. Like, it's just affected everything from soup to nuts and in between. And I just really, I don't know. It's so weird to just take a look back and and just realize what these things have done. Where your intuition, for me, my intuition, which is the basis of my feelings, it just went awry because I had no idea how to work it,
And I
how to
think
harness
that's
it.
why I'm so protective over like real men talk shit as a whole.
Yeah.
I have a list of 115, 120 stories that I have written down that last 15, 20 minutes that I end the podcast with. Like things that have happened to me, things that have happened around me, crazy fucking things. There's zero reason why I should have 115, 120 stories, and I have more that I could add. And it's so surreal because I've had two people in my life tell me, "Oh, I don't like the way you tell those stories. I can't watch." Or, "Oh, don't talk about me. I don't want to be a part of your story. I don't want to be a part of this." And guess what? Both of them I love dearly. Both of them I looked in the face and said, "I'm sorry if that's how you feel, but I'm going to keep doing me." And both of them said, "Oh, guess I can't control you." And guess what? Both of you fuckers are still here.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting how it's really it's interesting how people are affected. Um, some people just don't like online. My wife is one of those people. Like she does not like anything having to do with online. She thinks it's the cancer that killed the world. And I
I
just
don't
want to do
understand that.
something to put something positive out there into the world. I'm on the fence about it. You know, I think 50% is for the positive. I think 50% is really cancerous and can get really out of hand when allowed, and it is allowed.
Mhm.
But I really feel like that's one of the reasons why I chose to do the cast with you, is that I wanted to be able to put something positive out into the internet, whether it be in podcast form or whether it be on the YouTube, the evil YouTube channel. I'm just want to do something positive, and if I can do that with and through my own pain and grief, which is the basis of was the basis of me for so long, so I can get through it and help others. That's the superpower for me.
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's weird watching yourself genuinely heal from something. It's weird genuinely watching yourself kind of change and dictate the way that you feel about something to the point where you can portray it to thousands of people that you're healed or healing.
And it's interesting because there's so many people that have reached out. You know, it's been particularly to me on my TikTok, when I duet shorts of this podcast, and they are just so broken. And if I can be that light to say, it's been 13 years since my mom passed. Like, it wasn't yesterday, but it was my identity. My grief was my identity for so long. Losing her was my identity for so long. It doesn't have to be that way. And if I can come out of that,
And honestly, I will shoot myself in the foot here. I was one of the few people that was against you in that situation, saying, "Hey, stop using this as a crutch." Did I do it the wrong way? Abso-fucking-lutely, I will not. I'll hold myself accountable to that. I didn't show it in a positive light because I wasn't in a positive mindset.
right.
But the grief being consistently there constantly feels like it brings everything down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every person that's here alive right now is valuable. Every
Mhm.
single one of you. It doesn't change or dictate things just because somebody else passes away. Their light goes out, not yours. And their light
Right.
stays on as you showcase who they were.
Exactly. They put their light in you. You are the one now that is living and breathing in that human form, and you get to take that on. In my mind,
And
energy just doesn't stop. So, my mom is not gone. Her energy is
and
still very alive.
this may be me watching this show uh, that I watch on YouTube. This may be just, the top of the head idea that I have right at this second. But I don't know if KJ even agrees to this. This is completely ADHD mind at its best. You're seeing how my mind works right now. If you guys have a story that you guys want us to talk about, help you with, and react to, we will not give your name. We will not give your location. But if you want to talk about something, whether it's over voice or literally written out to us, reach out to my TikTok, reach out to KJ's TikTok. You can find me absolutely everywhere. KJ, I know, only has certain channels, but reach out to one of us, give it to us, and we'll get you there and we'll talk you through it or whatever you need. We'll be there.
Or if you need a certain topic touched on,
Yeah.
if you're stuck somewhere, we'll be more than happy to dive there. That's
Yeah.
what this is all about.
Whether it's grief, whether it's mental health, whether it's trauma, whether it's dealing with life that, you just can't find the pieces to, it's, I want to give. And I think that that might be the steps that we should look at.
Yeah, I think that's a really good addition to what we're doing here. Um, you know,
Even if that's once a month where we're sitting here answering fucking 3 or 4 questions, or we use that as a way to just get funds into the whole let's help people shit. Doesn't matter. But
Yeah, for
you know
sure.
what?
There's comments
We're here.
comments on the YouTube. You can Zach will leave our TikToks below. Reach out. We're here.
Yeah. Because who knows? Maybe it helps not only you, but it might help thousands of people that will hear your story and find some sort of compassion and understanding that, you know what, you may not think is there. And that's the hard part is you may say, "Oh, I'm just one person that's dealing with this." You know how many people I thought were like dumb dipshits who absolutely had no idea what the fuck I was dealing with? That I thought I was just so unique that, nobody could understand the world that I deal with.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, I do. Because like
In a year, I've had 1,000,000 listeners listen to me, and that's a really fucking surreal feeling.
it's crazy, right? It's crazy, but this is like the new media. Like cable TV is going downhill. This is what people
Yeah.
do. People listen to podcasts. People want to fill themselves with better things, better content, better news. Not no not slanting, just real. Real is what people are looking for, and I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, the only slant I'm gonna give you is mine, and, I may have a fucked up, weird, proportional view of the world, but it's only because 'cause I'm 6'5", but, JJ at least could tell you from the bottom. See?
Started from the
Another
bottom, now I'm
superpower,
here.
mental health, sense of humor. Guys, we'll see you next time. Use code RMTS at checkout.
It's been great.
And if you don't check out the one next week, have a good Thanksgiving. We'll see
And
you
come
after the
back and
holidays.
listen to it afterwards. But have a great Thanksgiving with your family, everybody.
Yep, we'll see you then.